In 1926, a team of British archaeologists were digging through a forgotten city in what is now Pakistan. They expected ruins, pottery, maybe some bones. What they found rewrote history. Beneath the sand lay an entire civilization, older than ancient Egypt, with paved streets, two-story houses, and a water system so advanced. It would not be matched again for almost 4,000 years. And buried among the artifacts was something strange. A clay pot, perforated, with hundreds of tiny holes. For decades, nobody knew what it was for. Then a chemist tested a modern replica. The result, it removed 99% of waterborne bacteria, using nothing but clay, sawdust, and fire. No electricity, no filters, no replacement cartridges. A device you can build today for under $15. That outperforms most countertop water filters sold in stores right now. In this video, I'll show you exactly how it works, why modern engineers forgot it, and how to build one yourself this weekend. Let's start with a hard question. When was the last time you drank water that didn't come through a pipe? For most people, the answer is never. We turn a handle. Water appears. We trust it. But that water passed through hundreds of miles of aging infrastructure, through chemicals like chlorine and chloramine, through pipes that in many American cities are over 100 years old. And the moment that system breaks during a storm, a boil water advisory, a power outage, you have nothing. The average American household uses about 300 gallons of water a day. Almost none of it is stored. Almost none of it is filtered at the point of use. We have built the most fragile water system in human history, and we forgot that for thousands of years, people solved this problem with their hands. The civilization that figured it out first was the Indus Valley. Around 3000 BCE, in what is now Pakistan and northwest India, two cities emerged, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. At their peak, these cities had a population of 40,000 people, more than ancient Athens, more than early Rome, and they had something neither of those cities had: plumbing. Every house in Mohenjo-daro had a private well. Archaeologists have counted over 700 of them in the ruins. The streets had covered drains. The houses had bathrooms. Some had 2 stories with water carried up through clay pipes, 4,000 years before the Roman aqueducts. But here's what's interesting. A well gives you water. It doesn't give you clean water. Groundwater carries bacteria, minerals, sediment, pathogens that can kill you within hours. The Indus people knew this, so they invented something. Among the pottery excavated from these sites are vessels that don't make sense at first glance. Large clay pots with hundreds of small holes punched through the walls. For years, archaeologists thought they were strainers for grain or beer, but in 2012, a research team in South Africa reconstructed one. They mixed local terracotta clay with sawdust, pressed it into a pot shape, and fired it at 850 degrees Celsius. When the kiln cooled, something remarkable had happened. The sawdust had burned away. What remained was a clay vessel filled with microscopic pores, each one between 0.1 and 10 micrometers wide. To put that in perspective, an E. coli bacterium is 2 micrometers long. It cannot pass through a hole that size. When the researchers poured contaminated river water through their reconstructed pot, the bacteria stayed behind. The water that came out the other side was clean enough to drink. The Indus people had built a microscopic filter 4,000 years before anyone knew microbes existed. So how does this thing actually work? There are 3 mechanisms happening at once, and understanding them is the key to building your own. The first is size exclusion. The pores in the clay are smaller than the contaminants. Bacteria, sediment, protozoa, parasitic eggs, they simply cannot fit through. The second is adsorption. As water moves through the clay walls, charged molecules in the clay grab onto charged particles in the water. Heavy metals, some organic compounds. They stick to the inside of the pores and never come out. The third is the slow flow rate. Modern fast filters force water through under pressure. This filter takes 1 to 3 hours to fill a container. That sounds like a flaw. It is actually the feature. The slow flow gives every drop of water maximum contact time with the clay. Maximum filtration. Speed is the enemy of clean water. Now, I want to be honest with you about one thing. The Indus version by itself removes bacteria but not viruses. Viruses are smaller than the pores. This is why modern adaptations of this filter, made by groups like Potters for Peace and TerraClear, add one more ingredient: colloidal silver, a thin coating of silver ions applied to the inside of the fired pot. Silver has been known to kill bacteria for at least 4,000 years. The ancient Greeks stored water in silver vessels. American pioneers dropped silver coins into milk to keep it fresh. When silver ions contact a microbe, They disrupt its cell membrane. The cell dies. Coat your clay filter with food-grade colloidal silver, and you've upgraded a 4,000-year-old design to remove up to 99.8% of waterborne pathogens for under $15 in materials. So why did we forget this? That is the real question. The answer is industrialization. In 1854, a London doctor named John Snow traced a cholera outbreak to a single contaminated water pump on Broad Street. His investigation triggered the modern public water movement. Within 50 years, cities around the world were building centralized water treatment plants. Chlorination, reservoirs, pipes. It was a miracle of engineering. It saved millions of lives. But it also did something else. It made personal water filtration unnecessary. Within 2 generations, the knowledge of how to purify water at home, knowledge that humans had carried for thousands of years, was lost. We outsourced it. And once you outsource a critical system, you forget how it works. You forget that it can fail. You forget how to live without it. The Indus Valley pot is not just an artifact. It is a reminder. All right, let's build one. You have 2 options here. I'll cover both. Option 1 is the authentic build. Make it yourself from raw materials. This is the cheapest path and the closest to the original. You'll need 1. Local terracotta clay, about 5 pounds. You can buy raw pottery clay at any ceramics supply store for around $8. 2. A combustible filler, fine sawdust, or rice husk if you can find it. About 1 cup, sifted to a uniform size. 3. A kiln or access to one. Many community colleges, art centers, and ceramic studios will fire your piece for $10 to $20. The clay needs to reach about 850 degrees Celsius. 4. Food-grade colloidal silver. A small bottle costs about $10 and lasts for dozens of filters. The process: mix clay and sawdust at a ratio of 2 to 1 by volume. Add just enough water to make it workable. Form it into a pot shape with walls about 1 inch thick. Let it air dry for 1 full week. Fire it. After cooling, brush the inside with colloidal silver and let it dry. That's your filter. To use it, suspend the clay pot inside a clean 5-gallon container with a lid and a spigot. Pour raw water into the clay pot. It will slowly seep through the walls and collect in the container below. Flow rate is roughly 1 to 3 liters per hour. Total cost, around $15. Option 2 is the shortcut. If you don't want to fire your own ceramic, you can buy a pre-made ceramic filter element online. The same design, mass-produced. They cost about $25. You drop them into any clean food-grade container with a hole drilled in the lid. It is not the romantic version, but it is the same technology, and it works. Either way, you now own a piece of human engineering that predates almost every modern convenience you depend on. Before I let you go, one common mistake. People assume that because this filter is ancient, it must be primitive, that a modern filter from a brand they recognize must be better. It is not. In controlled laboratory tests, ceramic pot filters remove between 99 and 99.8% of bacteria. That is comparable to, and in some cases exceeds, the performance of filters that cost 5 times as much. The difference is that the clay filter has no batteries, no cartridges to replace, no corporate supply chain to depend on. Once you have it, for 7 years or more. By some estimates, a single filter can produce over 100,000 liters of clean water in its lifetime. The Indus Valley people were not primitive. We are just newly fragile. If this video made you think differently about the water coming out of your tap, the next one in this series will surprise you even more. It's about a Roman system that stored an entire year of clean drinking water for a household. Underground. No power, no pumps, and modern building codes quietly stopped allowing it. I'll link it on screen. Until then, stay curious, stay independent, and remember, the systems that quietly sustain us were built by hands like yours.